I'm Damon Wood. This is our first esk8.news interview. Please introduce yourself, sir.
So my name is Jeremy. I'm the founder of JED Boards. We make gear-driven electric skateboards with swappable batteries.
What is JED Boards all about? Like, if you could summarize your ethos, your philosophy, what is JED Boards?
If you look at the industry and the fact that there's been heavy regulation due to things like people getting hurt, people doing silly things, our philosophy is, the products we build need to have a big emphasis on safety and on quality. So, whatever we release into the market needs to be safe for our users. It also needs to be a quality product so that, any kind of electric skateboard, scooter, Segway, self-balancing unicycle, whatever it is you want to call it, any of these things that potentially catch on fire, cause people to get thrown into traffic, any of this sort of stuff is all really bad for the industry as a whole. So it's really important that products are of a standard. And right now there are no actual standards that exist in the manufacturing space for these kind of vehicles. So our whole thing is we want to try and be, I guess, the best we can be, and try to encourage others to also step up their game.
That's a noble pursuit. There's a lot of BS out there. I mean, we've all seen it. For example, a lot of skate companies come out and they just resell somebody else's BS, and then they make it seem sexy, and they don't put any kind of responsibility on themselves to be a role model when it comes to safety. You see a lot of people out there with, bikinis and no helmets, basically, just riding around looking good, and these are incredibly cheap boards, and they don't last.
I think there's a lot of people that think that they can just make a quick buck out of this stuff. I think over the next 12 to 18 months, you'll see a lot of that start to disappear. And I think everyone will realize they have to start stepping up the game. At the end of the day, it's unsustainable to sell like dangerous products. It just doesn't work. And there's also a responsibility for riders to, be safe as well, because it's not just the manufacturers, it's also the riders being responsible when they ride, obeying the laws and doing everything to ensure that these things don't get pushed out and blanket banned everywhere, like some places might start doing.
Why did you get into this? Like, what made you decide, hey, I'm gonna build electric skateboards, and I'm gonna build a lot of them, and I'm gonna make them as high quality as I can?
It was kind of an accident. I was messing around with just some ideas for drivetrains that I had a while ago, and I thought I'd never seen anybody drive an electric board with gears. And this is I was trying a whole bunch of different gears to see what actually worked, and after a bunch of prototypes were made, I realized that there's potentially something in this, because the efficiency gains we were getting were pretty incredible. So what we're able to do on a smaller size battery meant that we could keep the overall weight down, and just make a product that's packaged really nicely, but also feels like a true longboard rather than a longboard with extra stuff added to it. So the idea was that it needs to feel like a regular board. It shouldn't feel like an electric board. It wasn't an intentional path I had set down, but somehow I just kind of fell down the rabbit hole, and here we are.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Just to put a fine point on it, what is it you're doing that makes you different? I mean, yeah, clearly you're using more quality parts, but what else are you doing?
Our focus is on engineering a really good board, something that'll last. We back it up with a 2-year warranty worldwide. So, if you're going to build something, you got to build it to last. A lot of products these days don't last very long, and that's kind of a shame. And society's quite wasteful. So, especially with something like a board, you expect to get years and years of riding out of it. So, that's that's essentially what we're going to do. You know, what we build is going to be a high quality product that will last a while, and you know, allow users to ride every day and, you know, not worry about problems. At the end of the day, unless you have a lot of experience and understanding about the limitations of what these things are, people could potentially hurt yourself. Right. So, you know, we wanted to box up a product that's easy to use, reliable. You get on the board, you ride it, and that's it. You don't have to worry about other things.
Sounds like you're targeting beginners, like an entry-level person who would typically get something a lot less safe off the shelf at Best Buy. Yeah,
I wouldn't advise it.
We're not going to call it crowdfunding, but you went the pre-order route.
Yes.
And like a lot of pre-orders and crowdfunds and whatever, this one's taken a while. A lot of people are asking, "Hey, what the hell is taking so long?" What's your response to that? To the people, just, you know, the pitchforks and torches and, you know, the typical fare.
It's not easy. Like, it's really not easy. You know, we've made some mistakes along the way. We've you know, some design stuff didn't work. We had to change things here and there. We've had issues with manufacturers, suppliers. You know, it's a constant battle trying to get things done. It's a bigger task than we had originally anticipated. It's definitely, you know, huge. And yeah, look, we're doing the absolute best we can and working like 7 days a week trying to get things done. It's, you know, we're not sitting here twiddling our thumbs and drinking caviar and champagne and stuff. Not drinking caviar, drinking champagne, eating caviar, whatever. But no, we're busting a gut to try and get everything done as quickly as possible. But at the same time, you know, you can't rush and compromise on things. So things still have to be done correctly, but at a pace that's as accelerated as you possibly can. Excuse me, dying here.
Die on us, Jeremy. We need you.
Sorry, man. Just getting over the flu. So, yeah. Look, it's not easy. And yeah, look, I understand people are frustrated. I would be too if I was waiting for stuff. But look, we're doing absolutely everything we can in our power to go as fast as we can.
I don't think anybody can really ask more than that of you. I mean, I know you guys have been pretty upfront. You're sharing your statuses. You're letting people know where things are at. You know, I know the shit you send me makes it seem like you're out there busting your ass. So I don't think that anybody's gonna be like, you know, suing you or anything. But at the same time, yeah, the customers have to wait. Customers have to wait on things that they want. And when the factories give you shit and manufacturing gives you shit, you just have to iron it out, and then it takes longer. It's understandable.
Well, I mean, the thing is, and this, you know, if we had launched earlier, you know, the thing is we'd be playing catch up trying to fix problems down the track, which would be even worse. So, you know, it's important that, you know, you get one shot basically, right? A first impression really matters. So we've taken this long so far to get things right.
I think they can shut up and wait, honestly, and I think it'll be worth the wait based on what I've seen so far. I don't think that anybody's going to complain once they actually get them. And I think that is the better way to go. So many companies have just launched, and you know, they put whatever they had out there, and they had recalls, they had, you know, crazy services that they had to render post sale. People sending all their stuff back in to get fixed, and firmware flashed, and, you know, just whatever it was, or broken trucks, or or whatever the hell, you know. So trying everything you can and making sure that, you know, you have good relationships with the people that you are building your stuff, and making sure that they're building it right, and so then the customer gets something that's built right. I think that's worth every minute, week, and month of a longer wait that these people are having to wait, honestly. And I wish more companies would take it seriously and do that.
Look, at the end of the day, though, I do understand that people are frustrated, and it's understandable. People want things. It's completely normal. And we apologize for the delays, but we are absolutely doing everything we can to get things done as quickly as possible.
Do you get flooded with emails like, "Where's my order?" And they get
daily. Daily, we get daily.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, on everything like social media and emails, and
it's just
look, people are impatient, and I understand that, and I think yeah.
Okay, that's all of that. I just had.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
So what initially made you decide to pre-order instead of going with a VC or something, or did you do both?
Yeah, the funding came not from pre-orders but from our own money. So we funded the company. The pre-orders were just to secure how many orders we had, to know how many to build, basically, in our first batch to get us off the ground. So the pre-orders, we didn't take the full money up front. We only took $299 as a deposit for everyone. And then we collect the balance before we start production on people's boards. That way, for people, there's less risk. It's a $300 investment to secure your spot. And it's fully refundable. And, we've refunded lots of people that have chosen to take up that option. But, in terms of funding, yeah, look, it takes a lot of money to build hardware products. And, we've invested a considerable amount of money, like a lot of money. And and we're still investing a lot of money, and it'll be a while before we recoup that money. But it's not insignificant.
Nothing that you have shown me, and I mean, I'm not going to divulge anything you told me or shown me, but nothing you have shown me was inexpensive. I mean, every fucking thing you send me, I mean, it's like, Jesus Christ, this guy's like filthy rich or something. I don't know how he does it. It's nuts. I mean, just the level of thought, the level of quality that's going into this, I can't even. And you're saying that you took the pre-orders and that it was just a small amount to secure a location because you already were doing backing it a different way. Based on the things you've shown me, you're basically over-engineering everything. And I think you've already answered this question. What made you not go the path of least resistance? In the beginning, you mentioned that safety was an issue for you, and you wanted to make sure these boards were 100% out of the gate and that you didn't have problems. That's the main driving force behind all of the crazy feats of engineering that you've shown me?
My mum always said to me, if you're going to do something, you should do it right. And so that's kind of a philosophy that I try to live by. So there's no point making a shit product because it doesn't do anything. It's not good for business and it's not good for consumers. So it would just be really stupid for us to make a bad product. So, we focused all our efforts on making as great a product as we possibly can. And, we're really lucky to have a really good team around us of folks that are super passionate and really good at what they do. And, we're pretty happy with what we've done. And yeah, life's too short to make shit products, basically.
It seems like that's the trend, though. Just stamp some shit out, put it on the shelf, call it Super Turbo VIP or whatever the fuck, and just let them have it.
A lot of people have
you're really doing the exact opposite of that, and I think you're one of the only board companies that I'm aware of that has spent so much time and money on research and development that, like, I almost want to. I mean, like, if I had pre-ordered and backed your venture, I would almost be like, wow, I don't really care if this takes much longer or a lot longer. As based on what I've seen.
Correct. I mean, yeah. It's look, at the end of the day, a lot of people have very short-term thinking. So a lot of companies or individuals think only about the very short term. You know, we're not thinking about the short term. You know, from day one, when we decided to do this as a real thing, we have a very long-term plan. Like, we have a plan already mapped out for the next 10 years. So we have a whole bunch of products that we're going to be making, other stuff, and not just around skateboards. So skateboards are just, you know, the beginning of what we plan to do. We have much bigger and grander visions, but at the end of the day, you know, if we were in it just to make a quick buck, then yeah, sure. We could, you know, being in China, I could go to any of the factories and go and say, hey, make me a board, slap my logo on it. I mean, the irony is, we were down in the Huaqiang Bay markets, and there was an electric board that, you know, all the Meepo, Wowgo components, etc. But the grip tape said grunge text here. Like, come on. And, you know, I remember we were having breakfast one morning, and when we were staying in Shenzhen one night, and this guy, you know, is sitting next to us, and he heard us talking and introduced himself. He's like, oh yeah, man, I designed these electric bikes. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool, show me. You know, he goes, oh, we got all these celebrities endorsing them and blah, blah, blah. And then it took me 2 seconds to find out who made them, and the fact that he didn't make anything, and they were just OEM bikes slapping his logo on, and it's the whole thing just trying to make a quick buck and get out of here and move to the next thing without any real care. And that's, you know, it's a dangerous way to be, because that's when then it affects the whole industry. And these things can't move forward until there is safety standards and there is people taking responsibility for their products.
It's kind of sickening and bad in a way. The way the market's just flooded with garbage now, and I don't know. I'm glad somebody's doing something about it. Gear drives.
Yes.
Gear drives are not cheap. They're not cheap to make. They're not cheap to develop. Well, nothing about your boards is cheap, so that part doesn't surprise me. But what made you go with gear drives? I remember talking to you in another interview that somebody else was doing not last year, but the year before last, and we were talking about belts versus gears and hubs and, you know, all the options that were sort of barely becoming available at the time. What exactly landed you on gears? And tell me about your gear system.
So I'll take a step back. I mean, we actually did develop some hub motors in the beginning, and we tested them, and they worked well, but didn't work as well as we wanted them to. So issues with, obviously, heat is a big problem with hub motors. We looked at like belt drives and hub motors and thought, well, what if you took the best of both worlds? And what if you could make a system that performs the ability to freewheel like a regular hub motor can, but you can use a full urethane wheel like you can with a belt drive. So naturally, like, a gearbox makes sense because it's a transfer of torque, but making a really small helical gearbox is not an easy thing. Getting everything down size-wise so that you still have plenty of ground clearance, so that you're not, you know, restricted to only using 100mm wheels, all of that sort of stuff takes a lot of challenges. So much so that we had to build our own motors. So we built our own motors. We built the drivetrain. So we basically use steel gears for the pinion and for the actual main drive gear. Our entire drivetrain is metal. There's no plastic in it. It's a mixture of stainless steel, 7075 steel, and 6061. So it's aluminium, steel, and stainless steel. That's it. It's designed to last a long time. One of our engineers that did some work on on our gears recently, just to help do some final refinements for production. You know, he's a German guy that specializes in motor racing, and he's got this software you can basically calculate how long a gear should last, and effectively the software spat out about 15 years. So those gears are pretty indestructible. I mean, I remember Luke once was riding out front of our hotel in Shenzhen, forgot to do up the wheel. He forgot to put the nut on, and he went riding at like 40 k's an hour. And so much so, the gear cut through the aluminium of our gear cover, and the wheel just went flying off. Now, there was not a scratch on the gear, and they still work. No burring, no nothing on it, but there was just shrapnel of aluminium everywhere. These things are really strong. And so, you know, it took a lot of refinement, a lot of effort, materials, you know, different helix angles, helical gears, you know, combating the axial thrust that you get with a helical gear because of the way helical gears work. And then, you know, you could go herringbone gear, which defeats the axial thrust, but then that's twice as expensive to make as a helical gear. So it also takes up twice as much room because you need a much wider gear. So in the end, we settled on helical gears because based on everything we tested and all our calculations, they worked out to be the best. They gave us the best efficiency. So in most cases, they're about 99.9% efficient, which means that the loss from motor to wheel is very minimal, which means that you can get power to the ground really efficiently. All of that kind of combined, the freewheeling ability, just meant that it made a lot of sense. And yeah, look, there's noise, but you know what? Noise is actually important. You want people to hear you. And it actually gives you an audible sound of where you are in the RPM range, almost like a car. So when you're accelerating, you still know how much juice you've got left before you can accelerate without even looking at the remote. So after a while, you can actually tell how fast you're going based on the sound of the gears. There's a lot of advantages.
What's the free roll like on your system?
So we rolled better than an unpowered board.
Wow.
We put a normal. There's a video online on Jay Boston's channel we did a while ago. But basically, we put our board against an unpowered normal longboard, and we rolled about 20 meters further. People were saying, "Oh, the motors must be on," but no, they're not. It's just the way it all works together. It rolls really well. Basically, you don't even need to use the accelerator much. Like you can just push the board and just go.
So you got like hub efficiency, basically.
More than hub efficiency.
Right? More than direct drive efficiency.
Yes.
And but you still got like the free roll of direct drives and wow, hypermiling ability. That's pretty insane. I mean, I'm starting to see how somebody could get, you know, a lot more miles out of an ADAS. This is an ADAS 2P, right? You're putting in there.
Yeah, this one.
And it's swappable.
Yes, and airline approved, so you can take 2 of these on the plane with you.
It's every angle, every angle covered. Jeez. And that's cabin safe, right? I can just take that in my carry-on.
Yes.
Was that always the intent? Was to use like a smaller, swappable, airline capable pack, or did that happen as a result of maybe tuning your drive system and then moving the battery off?
It's kind of 2 parts. So initially, our version 2 was going to have a swappable pack. Mm-hmm. Version 1, we were just going to go with a static pack.
Okay.
But actually, after traveling a lot with the board, I ran into issues where I had the board taken a couple of times. I got it back, but it sort of made me think, okay, we need to make it swappable now because otherwise it's going to be a pain in the ass to travel with the board. And people get attached to their boards. They want to take it with them everywhere. So not being able to take your board would be a real disappointment for a customer. So basically at that point we immediately set to push ahead on the swappable pack and get that stuff underway.
Where do you think you're falling as far as your niche goes? Do you feel like you're replacing boosted?
I don't think we're replacing anyone. I think there's still a market for all different boards, because at the end of the day, it's a very subjective choice that people make about boards. So a lot of people I've noticed like more than one board, right? So I don't think it's about replacing anyone, but I think where we fit and where I'd like to think we fit is in the premium space. So in that $1,000+ to $2,000 range is kind of where we sit. It's not a cheap board, but it's not it's not the most expensive board either. I think we offer value for money, and I think it's not going to replace anything, but it's going to complement other offerings that already exist on the market and give people more choice.
What's the just for the record? What's the MSRP?
So the junior is $11.99 US.
Mm-hmm.
The dual is $12.99 US, and the all-wheel drive is $17.99 US. Wow,
those are very competitive prices. Yeah, you're squarely placing yourself in as a premium beginner class, like the lower performance class, but a premium board.
I wouldn't say necessarily low performance. I mean,
no, I wouldn't say that at all either. It's just it's like most of the time, and I hate to use those kinds of categories because really, I mean, the whole mid-range 10S segment is almost lower performing compared to the things that are popping out everywhere now. But when I say lower performing, I don't mean I don't mean that it's not a quality system in any way. What I mean is, like, people just look at specs and they don't think. It's like, oh, it's only 8S, and oh, it's only got a top speed of whatever. So I'll get this other one because they look at the numbers and they're not thinking. It's almost like megapixels.
Yeah.
They don't know what kind of gains they can get by choosing a premium built option that has more thought into it than just somebody who's finally fixed all their problems.
Yep. So
you're coming in out of the gate as a premium solution, as a premium alternative for those buyers in that cost bracket. The fact that you're able to hit that target price with what you've got in there, that's kind of a feat in itself.
Not easy.
I mean, how much money have you got in this already?
It's north of $1 million.
Wow. It's north of $1 million. Okay. I'll move on. When do you think you can deliver? When will people start getting their awesome JED boards?
So we're just waiting on battery manufacturing to finish at the moment. Once that's wrapped up, then we can start the final assembly. So we're waiting on our battery guys to finish everything at the moment. They've kind of been a little painful the last few weeks, but we're getting there.
Tell me more about the batteries. I know they're removable, and I know they're airline safe, but what's in there? What kind of batteries?
Sony VTC5 cells. We buy them directly from Sony. Our manufacturer buys them about 200 million a year of these cells, so much so that they have their own production lines inside of Sony Murata, Japan. They're one of the largest battery manufacturers in China. So we've got our multifunction platform. We have a USB-C port. It's IP67 rated, so it doesn't need a cover. This is our charge port. It's a 3-prong, so we have data going through here from the charger, which communicates with the BMS to ensure that it charges safely at all times. So if you've been riding the pack really hard, you get home, you plug it into charge, it waits until the cells are cool if the battery's too hot before it starts charging. It'll also automatically switch off. There's basically a relay switch inside the charger, which will click and switch off to ensure that there's actually no power leakage when it's not in use.
You've done pretty much everything you can to ensure a long and healthy life for that pack.
Yes.
And if it just explodes, then it's all safe inside that fireproof plastic?
Yeah. I don't think it'll explode. It's more likely it might catch on fire if someone does, I don't know, submerges it in water as per our warning.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So can I ride it underwater?
I mean, you can try, but I don't think it'd give you any good outcome.
One day I'd like to take the Break the JED Board challenge. I feel like we could have used it enough. Can we talk about BOA wheels?
Sure.
Tell me about BOA and what have you done here?
What have we done here?
You have upset the wheel industry just a little.
The idea of BOA was it was always there because at the end of the day, we wanted to offer more wheel options to our customers. I'm not a big fan of the APEC core. I really like the Kegel core, and I didn't see much in the way of options. So we started working with Levita in basically the start of 2015. We started talking to them, and it took us a bit over a year and a half to develop our formula. But I mean, that in itself cost time and money as well, and was not necessarily cheap to do. But you know, we wanted to keep it separate from JED boards so that other people could use the wheels. It's kind of like what Loaded and Orangutan did. It's all the same company, but no one would buy Loaded wheels, and if their competition, they buy Orangutan wheels because it's a separate brand. So it's kind of the same sort of idea around that, in that separating the brand out means that we can sell the wheels to our competition effectively and make them available on the market, and also generate a bit of a name for ourselves with the wheels, so get some brand credibility out, so that when we offer them to our customers on JED boards, they know that we're not giving them shit wheels. They're getting a good quality wheel, basically.
I think they're amazing. I've tried them. I've got them on my board right here. Good God. I mean, I wasn't even a fan at all of Big Thing 2 years ago, really. I mean, a year and a half ago, I was still riding orange orangutans. And those were orange kegels were my favorite wheels. And I was running a 16:32 ratio on those on 100 kVs forever. Sort of made my feet hurt a little bit, but it just felt right. And whenever I would try a larger wheel, I felt like I was losing something. I was losing control because I couldn't feel the street as well or whatever. And I would try, everyone's tried the 87 Apex, and those things just bounce all over the fucking place. Boga had a 90 millimeter wheel, or All In Board Company has the Bogas. It's a 90 from, that's also from Levita. I've tried Amio's Akashas. I like those. But which is funny because these are all, Kegel cores except for the Apex. The Superflies, I felt like they were in a step in the right direction, but they were just, in my opinion, they're just too big and too heavy. And I felt like they would chunk. I mean, I already chunked one set. I got yours, and I was, very skeptical, of course. But basically, I fell in love with the damn things as soon as I got halfway around the block. They weren't losing traction. They weren't, I got slices all in them, but they're still not chunking. And they would eat staples and glass. You wouldn't even know it was in there. And you pull out like a giant thumbnail-sized chunk of glass, and it's like it was never in there. So whatever you guys did, I mean, that clearly had esk8 in mind, because we ride through some of the worst shit and we don't even stay on the road. I mean, I'm on the grass and dirt all the time on these things.
Well, I mean, they're designed specifically for the purpose of esk8. You know, that's what they're developed for. And you know, one of the big things we notice with a lot of larger diameter wheels is they have a very small contact patch, like really small. And you know, when you have a much larger diameter wheel, you want to be able to make sure that that thing grips. We made a 65 mil wide wheel and made it offset so that it could pop on pretty much anything that fits a Kegel.
As a community, I feel like we've mostly settled on Kegel core wheels anyway. There's just more options. And, you know, it seems like the ABEC and ABEC clone discrepancies keeps people from using or creating. There's a few premium pulley options out there. I mean, people have made pulley options that fit both, but they're sloppy on the genuine ABECs, and they don't necessarily have any consistency in the clones either. So it's almost like hit or miss. I think the Kegel core is a better design for creating a pulley. So the white ones.
Yeah, the white ones keep selling out. Like, people just keep buying them.
Yeah.
And our half-hangs as well. You know, we did a limited run of half-hangs and some guy bought 7 sets. Like, okay. Yeah.
No, they emailed me and they were like, hey, I know you got to order for a couple sets of white ones. You like red ones? I'm like, no, I'll wait. I mean, they go on anything. Literally anything I build, they go fine on it. But the red ones, I have to build a red board for. So that's all. I mean, that's the only appropriate build. Lacquer.
I have some other colors coming soon.
Bright yellow. Tell me you got some bright yellow ones.
Well, that's for the hatchlings.
Yeah.
Tiny wheels. We have some other colors for the bigger ones. Maybe blue.
Blue? You know, blue is a very slow color, right? Everything should either be red or white. Or chrome. Can you make chrome wheels?
Can, but they wouldn't last very long. I'll plastic dip them in some chrome for you. Just don't expect to get any grip.
Large glitter flake and clear. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Well,
clear wasn't terrible. Clear was such a terrible idea. They do not work.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's what I want. I want clear with gold glitter flake.
Ooh.
And LEDs in them.
LEDs in them we can do.
Yeah, can do that.
We can. I don't want to though.
Will you ruin your wheels for me, Jeremy, please? And do all these stupid, impossible things that I'm asking.
I'll think about it.
Is there anything you'd like to tell everybody as we wrap this up? Is any fresh news, or I don't know?
Just thank you for your patience to everyone, and you know, we're really excited to start delivering really soon to our customers. We can't wait.
I'm definitely looking forward to all of the free boards you're going to send me immediately. I can't wait for all of my free stuff.
And fuck the haters. I mean, what?
Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.